So here's how this is going to work. Every time I'm wearing this hat, it means I'm going to be pretending to be a Twilight criticizer. And every time I'm not wearing a hat, that means that I'm responding to the common criticisms. Now, obviously there are a lot of criticisms aimed at the Twilight series, especially now that the movies are coming out and people kind of hate them. They're really bad. But I thought I'd focus on a couple main ones. But the writing is so bad! Okay, Twilight is not the next Great Gatsby. It's not the next All the Pretty Horses. But Twilight never was supposed to be. Stephenie Meyer did not set out to write the next great American novel. She's never claimed to be a fantastic writer. She's never claimed to be the next Hemingway. I'll give you that Stephenie Meyer is not the greatest writer of all time, but she doesn't have to be. She's a good storyteller, and that's why people like her books. Also, just as a side note, have any of you actually read the Hardy Boys series? Don't tell me that Stephenie Meyer is a bad writer until you've read those books. But they're classics, and people love them. But it's so predictable. Have you ever heard of a genre called chick flicks? For movies, at least? Have you ever read most teenage literature? And you're calling Twilight predictable. Really? But they're not, like, real vampires. Since when has Stephenie Meyer been obligated to use the ancient stereotypes of vampires that we've grown up with and grown used to? I mean, I feel like the fact that her vampires are so completely different from the Dracula age of vampires that kind of cuts down all of those arguments where, you know, Twilight isn't original or it's predictable. Because those two contrasting ideas kind of seem contrasting. But I, hate Bella. She's just such an annoying character, and, she doesn't even have a character. Okay, so I had this conversation with my friend Craig a couple of weeks ago, because I was rereading the Harry Potter series, and we were discussing how Harry is kind of like a lot of the criticisms that people have against Bella. You know, he's kind of an ambiguous character, which lends itself to having everyone relate to him. And nobody had a problem with that, because let's be honest, Harry is kind of characterless. He's basically the archetype for every teenager ever, because that way more people can connect with the books. You know, she uses the ambiguous main character. She uses similar, relatable plot lines. She uses things that actual teenagers have to go through, but then she throws in her own element. She throws in sparkly vampires. And I don't understand why everyone just hates that so much. Bella and Edward fell in love, way too soon. That's so stupid. Nobody falls in love like that. Exhibit A. Rosalind. Why doesn't she love me? You wanna make out? No. Please? Okay. Later that night. So I was thinking, do you wanna get married? That's a great idea! So to wrap this whole little video up, let's be honest here, people. People are always going to disagree on literature, on what they like and dislike. So I don't understand why, especially with Twilight, you're either on one side of the fence or the other. You're either a bad reader or a righteous literature elitist. Twilight is a book, and Twilight is a series of books that people enjoy. Maybe even after you read it, you don't like it, but that doesn't matter. That doesn't mean you need to spew your hate all over the internet and the newspapers and the airwaves. It just means that you don't like that book. Now, if you want the blog version, slightly altered, of this video, if you're on YouTube, click in the underbar, there will be a link, or if you're on my website, it's right above you. Also, when you type "why I hate Twilight" into Google, the first thing that comes up is a list of 95 reasons not to ever read Twilight, and if you want to read my response to that, point by point, if you're on YouTube, again, click in the underbar, and if you're on my website, the link should be somewhere above in the post. I hope I've enlightened you a little bit, and I hope that you take into account that people have differing opinions on everything, and just because your opinion differs from someone doesn't mean you should hate them or mock them for having the wrong taste. But shut up!